Hello. In the previous video, we saw how to use dateInput widget, where the user can select a desired date and use it in the app. In this video, we'll see a demo on dateRangeInput. As the name says, date range, where this will allow the user to select a desired start date, a desired end date, and then based on that start and end date, we can use in the app, say for example, subset the data set based on the start and end dates. So here you can see that we have the text saying, the label saying select the date range. We've got two calendars and a separator in the middle. If I click on the first calendar, I can choose a start date, and from the second calendar I can choose the end date. I have text showing here the selected start date from the first calendar and the selected end date from the second calendar. We also have a text saying selected date range is start to end date. And then here what we have is the data which we have subset based on start and end dates. We have the counts of status which shows as cancelled, and then we have the counts for status as completed, and this is based on the date range selected by the user. Let's go to RStudio. We'll start with loading the required package. So we'll say library shiny, and then here we are creating the sample data for us to use in the app. I've set the seed so you get the same results. Set.seed 121. My date equals, I'm creating a sequence of date using sys.date function. By equals day means we're talking about every day. The day length is 30, so we will get 30 days sequence. So if I run this code, and if I print my date, we can see that it has got 30 dates in a sequence starting from the current system date. Then we create another column variable status. Say my status equals sample completed cancelled. We want 30 status and replacement is equals true. Let me run this, and if I print my status, we can see the status as completed or cancelled. And we put this in a data frame which is data.frame equals date my date, status my status. And if I print my df, we can see that it's a data frame with the dates and status. Let's do a structure on my df. We've got 30 observations of two variables. The first one is date in a date format. Second one is the factor variable cancelled or completed. Next we have the UI code. In the UI code we are using the function dateRangeInput, and the arguments are pretty much similar to what we have seen in dateInput function. We have got the input ID, the label. The start date is the initial start date which will show up in the calendar. So I have used the minimum date from the date variable. So minimum of this date variable. Then the end date is maximum of this date variable. Then the minimum is the minimum be selected by the user. If anything before that, user cannot select. Again, I have given the minimum date of my date column. And the maximum, I've given the maximum of the date variable, so the user cannot go beyond this maximum date. Format is the default YYYYMMDD, and separator is hyphen. And then we are displaying a couple of texts here. First we are showing start date, then we are showing as end date, we are showing the range and the data we have subset. In server.r, We have the first render function. We say output $start date render text, and in that we say input $date range in parentheses 1. If we say in parentheses 1, we will get the start date selected by the user. If we say input $date range in parentheses 2, that will give me the end date selected by the user. So what we are doing is we are basically displaying the start and the end date selected by the user. Then we have the range. Next, in the render table function, we are subsetting the data. We are using the subset function. We say mydf if date is greater than equal to the start date and date is less than equal to end date. We are putting table function on the status variable to get the counts. Let me run that. And here we can see that we have got the start date, end date, and the data which we have subset. Now one thing I would like to show is instead of hyphen, if I want the separator as 2,